Attraction does not grow from how intensely you desire someone. It grows from how stable you are within yourself. This is one of the hardest truths for many men to accept because it challenges the idea that effort, attention, and emotional investment alone create attraction. They don't. Attraction responds to emotional strength, not emotional need. Emotional need shows up when a man looks to a woman to regulate his inner state. His confidence rises when she responds quickly and drops when she doesn't. His mood depends on her approval. His sense of worth becomes tied to whether she chooses him. Even when unspoken, this dependency is felt. And once it is felt, attraction begins to weaken. This is not because women dislike emotion or vulnerability. It is because emotional dependency shifts the dynamic. When a man needs reassurance, validation, or constant connection to feel okay, he unconsciously places emotional weight on her. Instead of feeling drawn, she begins to feel responsible. Desire cannot survive where responsibility replaces choice. Emotional strength is the ability to experience attraction, uncertainty, and desire without losing your center. A strong man can like a woman deeply without rushing outcomes. He can enjoy connection without needing guarantees. He can feel uncertainty without trying to eliminate it through pressure or labels. This calm presence creates a sense of safety that is far more attractive than intensity. Many men confuse emotional openness with emotional dumping. Sharing everything you feel, especially early on, often comes from anxiety rather than authenticity. Emotional strength means knowing what to share and when. It means expressing interest without oversharing fears. It means staying honest without collapsing into someone else for reassurance. A man with emotional strength has an inner foundation. His life is supported by purpose, discipline, routines, and self-respect. He does not rely on a relationship to feel complete. Because of this, when he gives attention, it feels clean. It feels chosen, not demanded. His interest carries weight because it is not coming from emptiness. Women are highly sensitive to emotional undercurrents. They feel when a man's behavior is driven by fear of loss rather than genuine desire. They feel when he is trying to secure a connection instead of allowing it to unfold. Even if he is kind, affectionate, and attentive, the underlying need changes how those actions are received. Emotional strength also allows a man to hold boundaries. He can say no without guilt. He can take space without disappearing. He can disagree without becoming defensive. These behaviors signal self-trust. And self-trust is attractive because it shows that a man can stand on his own feet. This does not mean becoming cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. Strength is not numbness. A strong man can be warm, expressive, and caring, but his emotional state does not depend on how those expressions are received. He gives without bargaining. He invests without attachment to outcome. When attraction is rooted in emotional strength, it grows naturally. There is no chasing, convincing, or proving. The connection feels light rather than heavy, mutual rather than imbalanced. A woman feels she is with a man who chooses her, not one who needs her. When you stop looking to someone else to complete you, you become someone others want to connect with. Intensity can spark interest, but it cannot sustain attraction. Consistency is what turns curiosity into trust and trust into desire. Many men misunderstand this and believe that dramatic effort, emotional highs, or grand gestures are what keep a woman engaged. In reality, those things may excite briefly, but they do not create safety, and without safety, attraction slowly fades. Women do not evaluate a man based on isolated moments. They observe patterns. They notice whether you show up the same way over time, whether your energy is stable, and whether your behavior aligns with what you say. This is not a conscious test. It is an instinctive assessment. Inconsistency creates confusion, and confusion puts the nervous system on edge. Desire does not grow in uncertainty. Intensity often comes from emotional spikes. One day a man is fully present, expressive, and engaged. The next day he is distant, distracted, or withdrawn. This push and pull dynamic is usually driven by internal insecurity rather than intention. While it can create short-term excitement, it quickly erodes trust. A woman begins to wonder which version of you she will get, and once she starts bracing emotionally, attraction weakens. Consistency, on the other hand, creates calm. A consistent man does not need to perform. He does not oscillate between overinvestment and withdrawal. His interest is clear but not overwhelming. His presence is steady rather than dramatic. This steadiness allows a woman to relax into the connection instead of analyzing it. Many men believe they can explain inconsistency away with words. They promise to do better. They express strong feelings to compensate for unstable behavior. But words cannot override lived experience. Attraction responds to what is repeated, not what is promised. A woman may listen to explanations, but she trusts patterns. Consistency does not mean predictability in routine. It means predictability in character. Your values do not change depending on mood or circumstance. You follow through. You communicate clearly. You don't disappear when things feel uncomfortable. You don't flood when things feel good. Your emotional baseline remains grounded. This emotional regulation is critical. A man who reacts strongly to small shifts, delayed replies, minor disagreements, changes in tone, reveals emotional dependence. A consistent man notices changes without being destabilized by them. He responds rather than reacts. This emotional maturity builds trust without effort. Consistency also communicates self-respect. When you maintain your routines, boundaries, and standards regardless of romantic interest, you signal inner stability. A woman feels she is entering a life that already has structure, not becoming the structure herself. This is deeply attractive. In early dating, consistency matters even more than chemistry. Chemistry can be created quickly. Trust cannot. When your behavior remains steady, a woman does not need to guess your intentions or decode mixed signals. Her nervous system stays regulated, and desire has space to grow naturally. Intensity fades because it is exhausting to maintain. Consistency lasts because it is sustainable. A man who understands this does not try to impress. He simply shows up as himself again and again without fluctuation or performance. Over time, consistency answers every question attraction needs answered. Is he reliable? Is he grounded? Can I relax around him? Is this connection safe to deepen? When those answers are yes, desire does not need to be chased. It deepens on its own. Be steady, and attraction will have something solid to grow on. Commitment is rarely a decision made with the mind alone. It begins with a feeling, a sense of safety, trust, and alignment that a woman experiences long before she ever verbalizes it. Many men misunderstand this, believing that clarity, labels, or repeated assurances will secure commitment. The truth is far subtler. Emotional safety always comes first, and it is chosen, not negotiated. From the earliest moments of connection, a woman is observing not just words, but energy, consistency, and behavior. She notices how a man handles uncertainty, how he reacts to challenges, and how he manages his own emotions. These observations answer questions she may never voice. Can I rely on him? Does he stand by his word? Can I relax around him? Commitment grows when these questions are consistently answered through action, not conversation. Many men rush to ask for clarity, labels, or definitions, thinking it will solidify the relationship. But this often backfires. When a woman is asked to make a decision before she feels fully safe or emotionally aligned, pressure replaces desire. She may comply out of obligation or politeness, but genuine investment is absent. Commitment that is coerced or expedited is fragile. It does not have the strength to endure challenges. Emotional safety is built through steady, grounded behavior. A man who is consistent in his actions, reliable in his promises, and stable in his emotions communicates security without needing to declare it. He shows rather than tells. He is present without being controlling. He expresses interest without needing reassurance. These qualities create the subtle but powerful feeling that it is safe to lean in. A critical aspect of emotional safety is respecting pace. Every connection has its own rhythm. When a man tries to accelerate intimacy or decision making to ease his own anxiety, he disrupts that natural rhythm. True safety comes from allowing closeness to develop organically. It is the space between interaction, the calm that comes from not rushing, and the trust that both people are choosing to be present. Boundaries play a major role in emotional safety. A man who maintains his own boundaries demonstrates self-respect, which in turn signals that he respects hers. He communicates clearly, navigates discomfort without defensiveness, and responds to conflict thoughtfully. This behavior creates a container where a woman feels secure enough to invest her emotions. Emotional openness without neediness is another key element. Sharing feelings and thoughts should arise from authenticity, not from the desire for validation. When a man can be honest and vulnerable while remaining grounded, he allows her to feel safe engaging deeply. Oversharing out of anxiety, by contrast, can overwhelm or create pressure, undermining attraction and delaying commitment. Importantly, emotional safety is not static. It is continuously reinforced through behavior, attentiveness, and alignment. The man who consistently embodies stability and presence creates a relationship environment where commitment is a natural consequence rather than a requested outcome. Labels follow feelings, feelings follow safety. By focusing on creating emotional safety first, a man allows commitment to emerge naturally. He stops trying to force a decision and instead invests in being the kind of presence a woman can trust, relax around, and ultimately choose. This foundation transforms superficial agreement into lasting investment. Attention is not something that can be demanded or coerced. It is something that naturally flows toward direction. This is a truth most men overlook when dating. Women are drawn to men who lead their own lives with purpose, not to those who revolve around theirs. Effort, charm, and accommodation may get noticed for a moment, but they rarely create sustained attraction. What draws consistent attention is the energy of someone moving forward with clarity and intention. Many men mistakenly equate attentiveness with attraction. They believe that texting frequently, agreeing to every plan, or being constantly available will earn favor. But over-availability communicates dependence, not strength. When a man orients his life primarily around a woman, his energy becomes reactive. He adjusts to her mood swings, prioritizes her schedule over his own, and seeks validation through her attention. Even if his intentions are sincere, this lack of direction diminishes his magnetic presence. True direction begins internally. It is the ability to know what matters to you, where you are going, and how you manage your time, energy, and resources without relying on external approval. A man with direction has a life that already has shape and purpose. His routines, goals, and ambitions exist independently of his romantic interest. When he chooses to share his world with someone, it feels like an invitation, not a compromise. This autonomy creates attraction because it signals stability, confidence, and self-respect. Women instinctively sense the difference between a man who has direction and one who does not. A man with clear direction does not chase, over-explain, or try to speed up intimacy. He communicates his intentions naturally, and his behavior is consistent with his words. His life does not halt when she is not present, nor does it fluctuate unpredictably with her responses. This steadiness allows her to feel safe, relaxed, and engaged, and it draws her attention naturally. Men often misinterpret attention as being earned through effort rather than presence. They think that constantly proving themselves or performing acts of service will maintain interest. While these gestures may be appreciated in the short term, they cannot substitute for the energy of a life lived with purpose. Attention gravitates toward people who are whole, self-directed, and confident in their trajectory. Direction also fosters polarity, which is essential for attraction. When a man leads himself, a woman can lean in without feeling responsible for his emotions or decisions. This dynamic creates a natural tension that is exciting and engaging. Without direction, a man becomes emotionally dependent, and the relationship energy flattens into obligation rather than desire. It is important to clarify that having direction does not mean being emotionally distant or unapproachable. A man with direction can be warm, caring, and expressive. The difference is that his emotional state is not dependent on approval or validation. He can show affection without clinging, listen without over-investing, and engage without chasing. This balance amplifies attraction because it demonstrates self-mastery. Attention flows toward direction because direction signals confidence, stability, and purpose. A man who leads his own life naturally becomes magnetic, not through effort, but through the integrity of his presence. Women respond to energy, not persuasion, to alignment, not explanation. When you lead your life first and invite others in from a place of strength rather than dependence, attention and desire follow naturally. Respect is not demanded, earned through words, or secured by effort alone. It is observed, felt, and maintained through boundaries, integrity, and self-respect. One of the darker truths about attraction is that respect can be lost quietly, without a single argument. confrontation, or dramatic event, a woman may begin to feel her desire fade, not because of overt conflict, but because subtle shifts signal a loss of standards, a compromise in values, or a weakening of self-respect. Many men do not realize how quickly and silently attraction erodes when boundaries are compromised. Small actions, like constantly adjusting to another person's schedule, prioritizing approval over principle, or tolerating disrespect from others, communicate a lack of inner authority. Even when done with the intention of being helpful or considerate, these actions signal that a man's internal compass is pliable, and when a compass wavers, respect declines. Respect is deeply tied to self-respect. When a man consistently honors his own values, routines, and boundaries, he communicates to a woman that he is stable, reliable, and trustworthy. She can relax around him because she senses that his decisions are guided by principles rather than fear, insecurity, or external influence. Conversely, when self-respect falters, a woman instinctively notices. She may not be able to articulate why her attraction is fading, but she feels the shift emotionally. Another silent destroyer of respect is inconsistency between words and actions. Promises that are not kept, intentions that are not followed by behavior, or emotional highs and lows that do not match a man's stated goals all create subtle distrust. A woman observes not only what is said, but how it is enacted over time. Discrepancies between speech and action erode the perception of reliability and integrity, which are foundational to both respect and desire. Boundaries also play a critical role. A man who does not hold boundaries, whether around time, energy, or standards, signals that he cannot protect himself or his life. This vulnerability may seem harmless, but it communicates instability. Respect requires that a man honor his own limits and expectations. By doing so, he demonstrates that he is capable of standing firm, which in turn allows a woman to feel safe and engaged without needing to manage him. Respect is further eroded when a man tolerates disrespect from others or allows himself to be treated poorly. Women observe not only how a man treats them, but how he treats people in his life. Tolerating poor treatment signals that he does not value himself enough to enforce standards. When standards are blurred, desire begins to fade, even if the connection feels emotionally intense in other ways. Interestingly, loss of respect often happens gradually, which makes it difficult to identify. It is not the result of a single catastrophic mistake, but a series of small compromises. Each concession, each slight adjustment away from integrity, chips away at the foundation of attraction. Over time, what was once magnetic becomes neutral or worse, unappealing. Maintaining respect requires vigilance. It requires self-awareness, self-discipline, and the courage to uphold standards consistently, even in the face of discomfort or temptation. It requires a balance between warmth and firmness, affection and assertiveness. When a man embodies these qualities, attraction deepens naturally because it is grounded in both admiration and safety. Desire is sustained not by drama or intensity, but by consistent respect, both for oneself and for the relationship dynamic. Without respect, even strong feelings can wither quietly. Desire thrives on freedom, not pressure. This is one of the most overlooked truths in dating. When a woman feels pushed, persuaded, or obligated, attraction diminishes. Connection grows strongest when choice, not compulsion, drives engagement. A woman's desire is fueled by the sense that she is free to decide, not trapped by expectation or need. Many men misunderstand this and believe that convincing, explaining, or negotiating will secure deeper connection. They try to speed up intimacy or labels, thinking that if they just ask enough questions, offer enough assurances, or display enough effort, commitment or interest will follow. But desire cannot be manufactured. It can only emerge naturally when a person feels safe to choose. Pressure interrupts that process. Choice feels empowering. When a woman senses that she is making her own decisions, attraction grows. She leans in because she wants to, not because she must. This is different from compliance, which is temporary and lacks authentic investment. Compliance may produce short-term connection, but it cannot sustain deep attraction or emotional engagement over time. True desire arises from voluntary participation, from the feeling of autonomy and connection. Many men mistake persistence or intensity for influence. They send repeated messages, offer constant validation, or escalate emotional expressions to secure attention. While these behaviors may trigger temporary interest, they are ultimately draining. Pressure signals neediness, and neediness diminishes respect and attraction simultaneously. Instead of drawing a woman closer, it creates tension and subtle resistance. Freedom also allows polarity to thrive. When a man maintains his own boundaries, routines, and standards without clinging, a woman can respond to his energy rather than trying to manage or appease it. Polarity, the energetic push and pull between attraction and independence, emerges naturally when both people feel free to act from choice rather than obligation. This tension is magnetic, stimulating both emotional engagement and desire. Respecting her freedom also requires patience. Attraction grows in layers. Rushing intimacy, labels, or commitment can backfire because it removes the natural unfolding of connection. A man who trusts the process, who allows time and space for her to engage voluntarily, communicates confidence and self-possession. These qualities are inherently attractive because they show that his sense of worth is not contingent on her immediate decisions. Another subtle aspect of choice is emotional security. A woman will feel more drawn to a man who remains steady and composed, regardless of whether she reciprocates immediately. When a man's emotional state does not depend on her agreement or availability, he allows her to explore connection freely. She does not feel responsible for his feelings, which paradoxically increases both safety and desire. Choice also fosters investment. When a woman feels she is actively choosing to engage, she contributes emotionally in a way that compliance cannot produce. Her attention, effort, and openness are authentic because they are self-directed. In contrast, when a man pressures or manipulates, any response she gives is influenced by obligation, which erodes long-term attraction. Ultimately, attraction is sustained when both people feel agency. A man cannot make someone desire him, but he can create conditions where she is free to respond naturally. By maintaining boundaries, leading his own life, and demonstrating emotional independence, he provides the space in which desire can grow organically. When choice is respected and pressure is removed, connection deepens, and desire becomes voluntary, lasting, and authentic.